So I was gonna do a video on this. I was gonna do a video about how Sonic beat Mufasa like last week when it came out, but then I was like, I don't really want to make two Sonic videos in a row. And then I started thinking about other video ideas I can do, and I started procrastinating on that. And I saw that Sonic got 200 million. And I was like, that would be another cool video idea. And I have the footage that relates to it with the shadow footage you're seeing right now. So I was like, I'll just make a video on this. I'll just kind of repeat my thoughts that I had for the other video, and then hopefully I'll get the other videos out. So I won't be redundant and having like just two Sonic videos back to back. But anyway, Sonic 3 just got, as you can see in the title, it just got $200 million in the box office, which is pretty cool, I think. I honestly, going back on the other idea of Sonic 3 beating Mufasa, I didn't think that was gonna happen. There's a YouTuber I watch called SpeedSuperSonic. He's kind of like my main guy for getting like Sonic content. He makes great content. I'll put a link to his video or his channel in the description below if you want to check him out. But he does a lot of analysis on like film stuff, and his bread and butter is pretty much the Sonic movies. And he mentioned that like Mufasa is a prequel to one of the like highest grossing animated movies of all time, which is the live action Lion King movie that came out in 2019. Even though that movie was awful, it was trash, it made bank at the box office despite the reviews being awful. So of course they're gonna make a follow up to it, and Mufasa was looking like it was gonna be beating Sonic because it's Mufasa. It's like the Lion King is one of Disney's most lucrative properties of all time. So like, and not that Sonic wasn't popular. The first two movies did bank as well. I think Sonic 2 was the highest grossing video game adaptation of all time before the Mario movie just completely blew it out the water. That's mostly because the Sonic movies never really had that much competition. I think Sonic 1 came out like right at the beginning of COVID. And I don't think there was a lot of movies that came out on that day. And then for Sonic 2's case, it was kind of similar. COVID was already, we're slowly getting out of COVID at that point, but I don't know if I should say COVID in the YouTube video. Anyway, the bad disease, the plague. Sonic 2, we were just getting out of that, but there was no real movies that came out. I think the biggest movie that came out around that time was the Fantastic Beasts movies, which I think was starting to lose steam because I think I'm not a huge Harry Potter person, but I believe the lore or like the backstory, but with the Fantastic Beasts movies is that they're not very gay. And I think that was probably the second or third one that came out, and yeah, it just didn't do very well. And then also like, I was just doing like light research before this video, which I will never do ever again. But apparently Morbius also came out that month, which we all know how well Morbius did in the box office. Like it's Morbius, come on. Definitely not the reason why Sony's not doing any more Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movies. Anyway, but yeah, I said all to say the Sonic movies are great and they're very popular in their own right. But this is the first time Sonic 3 would have been is the first time that it's had direct competition, and I think Paramount made a very clear decision by keeping that release date. They saw that Mufasa was going to come out on December 20th, and they're like, you know what, we're going to play ball. We're going to come here with our marketable property, our marketable franchise, and see if we can compete against the big dogs with Disney. And Disney usually doesn't lose those competitions. Like DC or Warner Bros, when they were making money, they backed down off of Disney because there was one point where the Batman vs Superman movie was going to come out the same day as Captain America Civil War, which were those are two similar movies with like the superheroes of their universes competing against or fighting against each other. And once Disney revealed that it was going to come out the same date as Batman vs Superman, like I think there was a period of time Warner Bros. Was like, we're gonna keep this date, and then like as it got closer, like nah, we can't compete against this. So we gotta push it back. So that's what they did. I think it was initially for May of 2016, and then they pushed it back to March of that year. And that was probably a good decision for them because it did make a lot of money like the first weekend, but once reviews came out, it dipped down that second weekend. Not the case for Sonic 3. In fact, I thought like Mufasa would have caught up to Sonic 3 at this point because again, it is a popular franchise. Like, it's Disney and it's a Lion King. Like, come on, like, everyone kind of thought that at least initially, everyone kind of thought that Mufasa would make a lot of money. But no, I think the first signs of Sonic 3 actually doing as well as it's doing right now was when they started doing projections. And they said that Sonic 3 would probably beat Mufasa, and then lo and behold, boom, Sonic 3 is beating Mufasa right now, and it still is with the $200 million in the box office right now, which I think is over their budget. So they've already broke even during the second weekend, which is awesome. That's great. And I just kind of wanted to talk about like just the fact that we're in this point right now with the Sonic franchise, where like I mentioned in my Sonic 3 review that I've been a Sonic fan for a really long time. And I don't remember if I went to just my history with the franchise or not. But like I think most Sonic fans who grew up in the early 2000s before they got into the internet, that they grew up like loving Sonic, loving everything about Sonic, like loving the games, loving the TV shows and all that stuff. And then they get to they discover YouTube and the internet for the first time, and then they realize, oh wow, people really don't like this character. They really don't like these games. And then I'm like, well, everything on the internet is correct. So obviously, if people are saying that Sonic is bad, then obviously I'm wrong about Sonic being good. And I wouldn't say that there was ever a period in my life where I outright hated Sonic. I just kind of was like, I think my epiphany or realization was like Sonic is a thing from my childhood that I enjoyed, but it's not good. And that's okay. And that actually encouraged me to get into other gaming franchises like Uncharted, like God of War, what other franchises? Doom, I think, at some point. Persona, like these other franchises that I heard were good, but based off a lot of interviewers and just word of mouth. And I kind of appreciate that realization that Sonic wasn't good, only because I got into other video gaming franchises. I became more of a gamer, to say the least. But I've always had a soft spot for Sonic. Like I hear all these people who grew up with quote unquote good franchises getting their good games and all that stuff in modern day, and Sonic never really had that renaissance. Like I mean, he was very popular in the 90s, but I didn't grow up in the 90s. I never really lived in a time period where Sonic was like the guy. Like he was like a popular thing. Like it was always just like random, like just my fellow friends who also like Sonic, and just people who online who also appreciated the character. Like it never really grew out of that circle. But then when the first two movies became popular, Sonic now became like one of the most recognized, not only video game franchise, but just one of the most recognized IP of all time. And it's just so cool to see like this franchise, this character that I've been in love with for most of my life, just getting the accolades that I've always seen it as before I found out that Sonic wasn't good. And also it made me reflect more on the franchise and seeing the good in it. Like I think I watched a lot of Sonic videos after Sonic 2 just to see like, oh wow, there are actually good Sonic stories before the second movie, or like just stories that got the characters right, and there actually was, and that's from the original games, like the adventure games. Ironically enough, I actually like the story and adventure, but I never played it myself. I watched the Game Grumps play it at all people, and the Game Grumps were one of those people that made me realize, oh, Sonic is actually bad. But ironically enough, in their adventure playthrough, when there was actually story bits, there were things in the story that I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. And we got reminded by watching those videos those analysis that did a retrospective on those characters, and made me realize, oh yeah, Sonic actually had good stories. Like not even just the adventure games, but also the classic games. They also had like good storytelling in those stories. And the fact that the movies are now bringing that out and bringing that front and center instead of just being last behind gameplay that's outdated nowadays, it's just really cool. And then also not only just the video games and the video essays that are talking about the video games, but also the comics, the Archie comics, the IDW comics that are running right now. Those have some amazing like just Sonic stories that not only are just amazing for Sonic standards, but just really good kid stories that pays respect to the original character and its legacy, while also selling some unique and really entertaining stories with these characters that are iconic at this point. So it's just cool that Sonic has now become this big deal now, and it just means a lot. Sonic's always been kind of like mine and a lot of like other people who like the character, but now like other people are seeing this character, seeing this world, and now like appreciating for what it is. Like I watched it with my family, but I rewatched Sonic 3 with those guys, and they all really enjoyed the movie, and they all like my dad was actually excited to watch it before we even did, and like that was cool to see, because it's like, oh, like I think we watched the first two movies together, but like it was just cool for him to be excited about something that he didn't grow up with. Like he's usually excited about, like, you know, his Star Trek movies, like his superhero movies, stuff that he grew up with, but now he's excited about something that I grew up with. Like that's just so cool to see. And the fact that, you know, also the movies are getting like people like Keanu Reeves, Idris Elba, like all these big actors trying to bring these characters to life in the way that they should be. It's just so cool to see people who care about this franchise, you know, working on it, and it's reaping the benefits of that hard working care. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say with this video. I'm gonna try to get this edited and uploaded quickly so that this topic doesn't die out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to talk about how cool it is that Sonic's doing so well, and that it's beating one of the biggest IPs of all time. And I think this is a good lesson for Disney, for them to look at this and be like, okay, so like we need to actually, you know, put a little more effort into our properties. Like we shouldn't just rehash the same stuff. Maybe buy out like another video game franchise and put people who care about that video game franchise and make something unique and original with that, or just make original content. Like that's good. Like a Kanto release a couple years ago, do stuff like that. You know, like Disney has made good stuff before, and I think in this past like decades, in the 2020s, they kind of lost their way a little bit. But I want Disney to see Sonic 3 kicking their ass and learn from this and do better. Like this is good for everybody. This is good for us Sonic fans, and it's good for Disney and competition and stuff. But anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. That voice crack was crazy. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.